Hi Tori, how are you?
How are
Nice
you?
to see you.
Good to see
Welcome,
you.
welcome, welcome. So I'm excited about preparing for this WeHo March on Saturday in solidarity with the 99%. And tonight we're meeting with the organizing committee and we're inviting several of the community groups to participate with us.
Correct.
So I just want to go over a new process that I'm learning. It's called skill facilitation, and there's some ground rules, and I want to go over that with you and see how that may work tonight. Okay. The first of those steps is testing assumptions and inferences, and I want to make sure that we don't assume anything, because sometimes I assume something and you're assuming something different. We want to be on the same page, and the inferences are stuff that we base upon our past. And my past is not always the same walk that you've walked, and so we want to make sure again that we're on the same page with everything. And we need to share all relevant information. If you know something, and I may know something, and we don't want to cross the lines or whatever, you may be working on a project and I'm working on something at the same time. So that's why we need to share all relevant information, and we need to use specific examples and agree on what words mean. Okay, an example would be LGBT. Some communities just think that means the gays and lesbians, but it also means a much larger complex, so we need to make sure we are on the same agreement with that. And we need to focus on our interest and not our positions. And we need to combine advocacy and inquire. So ask questions and make sure that you're advocating for the same thing that I'm advocating for. Okay? And the next thing is to jointly design the next steps and the ways to test our disagreements. So if you disagree with something, you need to feel free to be able to say your disagreements, so that we can create a dialogue and be able to work through that. And then the most important thing is we need to be able to discuss undiscussable issues. So, for example, some folks are offended by the transgender community, and we want to make sure that they feel inclusive. Okay, and we need to use a decision-making rule that generates the level of commitment, because we want everyone committed to this because we want to be inclusive. How does that sound to you so far?
Sounds good so far.
Okay, so do you think we can implement this tonight when we meet with the group and with these different community leaders?
I don't see any issues with that. I think it's a good plan and a good way to start.
Okay, so tell me what group you're with again and what you feel would be important to your group.
Well, I'm with Metropolitan Community Churches and I'm with the Los Angeles Church.
Uh-huh.
I don't think we have an agenda. I think it's, what we've promoted is that we're doing it in solidarity and we're doing it as a group within the community. So we're putting the faith outside of the box instead of inside of the box. So that's not where the priority is coming. We've encouraged our staff to be a part of the whole, along with all of our other people.
Okay. So why do you think a parishioner at a Metropolitan Community Church would want to get involved with this march?
Well, I think they're part of the 99%, like the rest of the majority of people that are in that position. And I think a lot of it we're an inclusive congregation and we deal with basically all of the aspects of the 99%, and we have all of those demographics. So I believe we have a combination of that force to help show where we stand.
Okay. So you say the 99%. That is an example of a word. What does 99% mean to you?
I think we're the majority of what is not happening in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you talk about segregation and desegregation, we're now becoming the minority of the populace of the income and the status of where we go in the world.
Okay. Okay. And so you think that the parishioners and your church is part of the 99%?
I believe the majority, yes.
The majority, yes. Okay. All right. And what do you see? Where do you see the 1% then?
Well, I think the 1% basically are government officials and leaders in state and government and higher official positions,
Okay.
or large companies or corporations.
Okay. And why do you think that it would be good for the community groups that are coming tonight to be involved in this tonight?
Well, I think they all bring different aspects from their organizations, the different realms of the community, you know, from the Occupy group that is currently downtown to the transgender community to our Latino and our African American communities and even our youth and our senior communities. You know, it shows that the populace of where we stand in a LGBT community.
Okay. And can you give me some interests that you would might have as a group, or what do you think some of the interest these other community groups might have?
I think overall the interest would be equality in the community. I think same-gender marriage is an issue. I think a lot of things with our transgender community are important where they fall, especially where it comes with the don't ask, don't tell currently. They're currently still excluded. Our youth, our homeless youth out on the streets, you know, a lot of homelessness, and even just the low income for our seniors. Our seniors in general make a low income and have a hard time living.
Okay. So do you think any of these would be undiscussable issues, or things that are hard to talk about that we need to put out on the table?
When you say undiscussable, within the group meeting tonight or on a whole?
Both.
I think as a group, I think everybody is in tune pretty much to where our community stands. I think all of the leaders have some type of connection with one another. I think we maybe need to make points of awareness, and I think that needs to be done as a group. I mean, definitely our youth and our seniors and some of our interracial communities are very important issues because they get put out to the side.
Okay. So there's been a couple issues that has been brought to my attention, and I want to explore them with you. One of those is whether or not we should be permitted or unpermitted with this event. And that kind of means whether or not that we are sanctioned by the city to be able to hold the rally or the march or event. The other issue is some of the groups have their agenda. They want to be able to be there if they can only talk about certain issues. And they want to have particular speakers. And I want to know how you think we should be able to address some of these things.
Well, starting with your first issue about the permitting and non-permitting, I think that's something that we need to discuss as an entire group and get their feelings. I mean, we are prepared to be permitted, but at the same time, sometimes it's better not to be permitted, and it gives you a little more leniency. I think that's something that as a census we all need to see where everybody stands.
Okay.
Your other point was agendas or where they are coming from. I don't think we need to have agendas. I think we need to come into this open-minded. I think every group may have an agenda or a focus that they want to focus on in this march, but you know, it's a march of solidarity. So it's a march basically pretty much solidarity is as one, and also sometimes it could be in silence or in uniformity. So it depends where we take that. In the way of people speaking, I believe that we need to come up with key issues as a group, key focuses like we just discussed, where our community is, where our different aspects of the community are, whether it is the youth or the seniors or the Hispanic community or African American communities, where the key issues are, or where we have common areas of similar interest or similar needs, and focus on maybe 4 or 5 topics as a whole, and then go forward and then make those key points for those speakers that we invite to speak.
Okay, great. Now, what do you think are some potential conflicts that we may have that you could identify or think about?
I think the only conflicts that we would have is if we don't keep it in an orderly fashion like we want. I mean, when you get large groups of people, sometimes if you don't have a focus or a some main agenda for everybody that's in agreement, that people may go on to their own avenues outside of the group. And I think we need to keep that focus and keep that monitored within the entire group.
Okay.
We don't want little rallies going on within the one big group.
Okay. So what do you think, how can we manage that?
Well, I think that's something that we need to discuss as a group. I think we need to get everybody's experience and ideas of what they've experienced when they've done other marches or other types of rallying
Okay.
for other issues. I think everybody may have different concepts or different experiences that they've gone through that might be a avenue to see where there are similarities.
Mhm. So how do you think we can, or what are some of the tools or and key things that we can use to be able to publicize this and get more of a draw more of an attraction and more of a crowd?
Well, I think a lot of it would be within our context, our individual context within the community. You know, each of us have set base communications with various communities and various organizations in our daily lives and our daily work. And I think by us promoting it through our colleagues and our organizations that we have affiliations with, that would be one step.
Mm-hmm.
I think through the media and through also just by word of mouth within our own communities, by our own people going out and doing it.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, is there any other areas that we need to explore, and what do you think will be the next steps after our meeting tonight?
Well, I definitely think that at some point we need to figure out, do we want to follow up after this march down the road and see where things are, and to maybe form different alliances in our community
Mm-hmm.
and bring the communities a little closer together. Sometimes our communities or our groups in the community seem to branch out and then we lose track of each other. So maybe keep a closer connection with one another.
We become too fragmented.
Right.
Okay. So, something I'm not clear on. Can you explain to me why LGBT issues have a commonality with the Occupy LA?
I think a lot of it has to do with the economical status of where we all fall, you know, or discrimination. You know, so many times in our LGBT community, you know, we focus on key areas that we see in everyday life, but we don't go in depth where we see poverty or we see low income, you know, or we see homelessness. Primarily in the LGBT community, we see it in the youth. And we also see it in the seniors. We see it at both ends of the spectrum. So many times when our youth come out, they are put on the streets and have nowhere to go, and they need assistance. As our seniors get older, their income and their ability to receive income diminishes. So those are focuses that we see in any culture, whether it's in the LGBT community or in the regular communities.
Okay. So, my last question then would be, how do you feel about this, and do you think this would be supported by the LGBT community? Would the LGBT community benefit from it more, or do you think Occupy LA would benefit from it more?
Personally, I think we all will benefit by it. I think, you know, if we're doing this as a group and as a sanctioned group of agreement, that everybody will take forward. I think we have combination of everybody together. So I think it's a benefit for everybody.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much.